I need to be extremely aware of the fact that if I don't sit far back enough, I will look naked. What's up, fellow weirdos of the internet, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Ray Rodingwell, and I'm a special effects artist, costume designer, character designer, and character actor, and I'm here to talk about my favorite things. Today is the final installment of my character design series. If you've missed out, fear not, I will leave links in the description down below of the other 3 videos so you can catch up. But this isn't really in a specific order. This is just the way I decided to throw them out onto the internet, but really any step you take first is a great step. Our 4th and final video of this series is going to be all about costumes, makeup, and props. With your costumes, first and foremost, really with everything in this series I've talked about before, you want to make sure that you are keeping the weather in mind. If you live someplace where it's really hot, I've stated a bunch of times before that I am from Florida and our haunt is very, very hot. There's no air conditioning. It's even hot outside. It's super humid. It's terrible. So make sure that as you're going through this, before you get into the really fun parts of this character development, you just want to make sure that you are keeping the weather and the temperature in mind while you're going through this. Time period. You want to make sure that if you decided that your character is set in a certain time period, that you make sure that your costumes coincide with that time period. Make sure that their costumes aren't too modern looking. It will completely ruin the whole vibe of your character. I've learned that going to thrift stores are super helpful. They have lots of older styled clothing and it's all really cheap, so it won't really be a huge waste of money while you're destroying it and making it look more authentic for your character. You can also start with something really basic. You can buy a really basic costume and then sew and add things on to make it look more like the time period that you are basing your character on. How long have they been in their outfit? Are they running away from something? Are they running out in the woods? Is it dirty? Are they sweating a lot? If they are bleeding and they are sweating a lot, why are they running away? Are they a victim of something? Is that why their costumes are super tattered up? If they just recently broke out from somewhere, their costumes might be a little bit more pristine. If they've been like trapped in the woods or living, in the middle of nowhere, very isolated, then maybe their clothing is going to be more tattered, more sweaty, more grimy. If you have, a lot of blood on your costume that's like down on the chest or on the arm, you should probably make sure that your makeup also coincides with those details. If you've got blood coming down on the neck on the costume right here, you probably would have something bleeding around your neck or on your chest or blood dripping down your mouth. So when you're putting the makeup on, you want to make sure that you add that little detail. Small details to keep into consideration while you're going through your costume design. Why are they wearing what they're wearing? If it's something not so specific, it doesn't really matter too much. If they're like a creepy backwoods mutated hillbilly kind of character, then obviously something with like overalls or flannel, button-ups, simple things like that don't really need to be explained. But if they're wearing like a straitjacket, then obviously they would have to be some sort of an asylum character. So whatever you're wearing has to make sense to some degree. When it comes to makeup, what detail is your makeup going to have that's going to set you apart from other people? What detail in your clown makeup is going to set you apart from all of the other clown makeups that overpopulate the haunt industry? When it comes to Helga, I feel very confident and very comfortable playing her in a sea of other clowns because I know that the detail that I put in her makeup is very unique in comparison to what other people can do. And a lot of times people even think that my makeup is prosthetic or a mask. It's not, it's my face. Is your makeup going to be something really simple? Is it going to be elaborate? Is it going to be a mask? Is it going to have prosthetics? Sometimes having a whole bunch of everything is going to be too much. Not only aesthetically and for your audience to find a focal point, but it's going to be hard to act in. If you've got a super big costume and a really heavy silicone mask and this big heavy prop, it's gonna be really hard to effectively do what you need to do, either with scaring or entertaining, unless people just get afraid of like the sheer mass of you. I think it's important to have a focal point. So if you're gonna have really simple costuming, then you can have really elaborate makeup. With Helga, her costume is very dingy. There's not a ton going on with it. And then I have her makeup has a lot of color in it. There's a lot of detail in it. So it gives you something to look at. Kit's makeup is very, very simple. Her costume is a little on the crazy side just because there's a lot to look at, but it's mostly the head cage. The head cage for me is the focal point for her. To make sure that whatever you want the focal point to be has a lot of detail and everything else is a little bit more subdued so that there's a focal point for your audience. And if you have something like that, it kind of makes it more like a signature piece. And then your audience will recognize you for that. And then when they come back the next year or when you go to an event or a convention or something, and they'll see you and they'll recognize you because of that one thing. Again, with the weather and the atmosphere and the heat, make sure that you are being smart with whatever you choose to wear on your face. If your haunt doesn't have the proper makeup that will last the whole night, if you sweat a lot, if you don't have any waterproof makeup, sometimes having a mask is going to be more appropriate. If a mask is too heavy for you and you're going to be sweating and if the mask is too heavy or it's too complicated to be running around in the heat, maybe having makeup is going to work a little bit better if your haunt has that waterproof makeup. Is your character going to be wearing very specific, interesting teeth or dentures? If they are, why? It's really good to have some sort of a reasoning behind why you're wearing these elaborate dentures, because patrons and guests from your haunt or at your event are going to come up to you and ask you, why do your teeth look like that? So it's good to make sure that you have that embedded in your character beforehand. Kit has these really nasty little nub teeth, and my story behind that is she was a biter, so the institution that she was in would file her teeth down so that she couldn't bite anybody. So she walks around with these like little icky, like nubby teeth. So if anyone ever asks me if I don't have my mouthpiece in, I can surely explain to them why my teeth look like that. So it's a very big fad now. It's a very popular thing now to have some sort of weird teeth with your makeup now in the haunt industry. So to set yourself apart, it's cool to either not have any of them in or make sure that it makes sense with your character and it's something that you can easily explain away. Otherwise, your character's not going to come off as authentic. Props are kind of dangerous. It can go both ways. I was extremely heavily reliant on props when I first started. My first 2 years, if I didn't have a prop, I was completely lost. I had no idea what to do. It was something really easy to use as a scare tactic, whether to make a loud noise with it or just to like hold it above like a guest's head or just something to add like an extra scare. So if you do have a prop for your character, be cautious because you don't want to end up relying on it in the future. If your character does have a prop, why? What kind of prop is it? Is it something sentimental? If you're like a creepy little girl character, do you have like a teddy bear? Is it something from your first victim? Is it a memento for something? Is it something that holds like innocence to your character, or does it humanize your character, or is it just a weapon to kill your guests with or whatever? If so, for that weapon, why is that the weapon? Why is that the signature weapon for your character? Helga has a bat, and there's a significance to the bat. Eventually, I will make a video about Helga's background and everything. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, so I will get that out at some point. But she's got a bat that has all of these teeth embedded in it, and there's like brain matter and blood and like hair stuck to it. It's my hair that I got from my hairbrush. I don't play no games when it comes to my characters. I try to make them as authentic as possible. But that is her signature thing. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to walk around with it because it's not specifically haunt safe, and I'll get into that in a second, but it's hard to walk around with weapons like that when you're running around on the midway and you're jumping over fences and stuff like that. I'm afraid that it's gonna hit somebody. But that leads into my next topic with props, is the safety of your prop. I have a hard time using my prop because it's plastic. It's hollow, so it's not very heavy, but it could give somebody an excuse to get mad and yell at me and getting me in trouble because I had a bat that hit them that would have been a little bit harder of a hit than it would have been if it was a foam prop. So if you do want a prop, try to make sure that it's foam, something that's going to be really light for your sake and for your patrons. Make sure that if you do have a weapon or some sort of prop, you're practicing haunt safety, please. Can you use your prop to interact with your guests? It's definitely not mandatory to have, but it is cool to have something that will help you interact better with your patrons and with your guests. I know that there's a lot of like clown characters that know how to juggle, so that's like a cool way to interact with your patrons. It's not exactly something scary, but it's something that'll entertain them, and you can also use that as a really great distraction. If they're watching you juggling, they're not gonna expect anything as far as you trying to scare them. So if you stop and like run at them, like, oh my god, they'll get so scared because they were like in this trance watching you juggle, and then and their guards are totally down and they think they're safe, and then boom, you like hit them with that scare and it's over, and it's very fun. So that's a really great bonus if you can have a prop that will actually allow your guests to interact with you. All in all, really just be safe with it. Make sure that things are cohesive. That pretty much does it for this video. I really hope that it helps you in your journey when you're creating a new character, or even just bumping up an old character that you want to renew. I really hope this video gives you some sort of insight to make your character design experience bigger and better than it was before. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to my Haunter of the Week. Her name is Chainsaw Kitty. She works at Arx Mortis in Alabama, and she's got such a unique character. It's this perfect balance of something like very innocent and wholesome mixed with this like really tactical, badass, murderous character. Her design is kind of like what I talked about in one of my other videos about having two things that normally wouldn't go together, but it works out really nicely, and your brain has a hard time processing what it is that they're looking at because the two things are so opposite that it scares them because they shouldn't go together. It's sort of like that. So that's a really great example of what I was talking about in those other videos. So make sure you check out Chainsaw Kitty and Arx Mortis. They have a lot of other really great actors that I look up to and really admire. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy me, if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. You can like this video and leave a comment and push the notification bell so you never miss a single video. I hope you have an awesome day. Stay safe during the coronavirus, and I will see you in the next video.